Hi, everybody. Welcome to lesson 9, in which we're going to fulfill the American dream and buy a car and a house and all that good stuff. So, this formula that we're going to skip the opening exercise just for time. This formula we're going to use comes from the geometric series formula. This is not the geometric series formula. It's derived from it and it involves compounding interest, but that's okay. We're just going to play with it and plug numbers in. If we were to take a Regents exam, which we're not, they would give you this formula or something that looks like this formula. You don't need to memorize it. You just need to plug stuff into it. So this is the loan amount. This is how much you're borrowing from the bank. Because when you buy a house or you buy a car, you normally borrow money from the bank, which is called a loan. So that's what it equals. R is the payment amount. R is going to be what you pay each month. Each month. That's what I'm paying each month. And I is the interest rate. And notice the 1 plus is already there. So this is just the interest rate, the percentage. And N is how many times you're paying it. So let's just jump right in and use this formula. Fran wants to buy a boat. Fran believes she can afford $250 a month. That's R. Capital R, not our common ratio R like we've been using, for 2 years. 2 years is 24 times. So N equals 24. 250 is R. Her bank charges her a 5% interest rate compounded monthly. So 5% interest compounded monthly. Then it's not 1 plus that. I is literally just the interest rate. So what's the most expensive boat she can buy? So what does it equal? What does her loan equal? $250, parentheses, 1 minus 1 plus I to the negative N. This comes from the geometric series formula, which is why it looks like it, but it's just been rearranged over I. So all I have to do now to figure out how much Fran can borrow from the bank to buy this boat is type that on in. So I'm going to type in 250 times a fraction 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12 to the negative 24 months. Remember, it's how many months am I paying over 0.05 divided by 12. Nice if I hit divided instead of parenthesis, and we're good. That's how much money the bank will give Fran for her boat. $5,698. $5,698 and 47 cents. Fran wants to buy a boat for $6,000. What would her monthly payment be? So Fran has two choices. She could either put the money up front, and because the bank's only giving her $5,000, $5,698. She would have to put a down payment on the boat. She would have to put an initial payment. That's what a down payment is. She'd have to cover that difference, or her monthly payment's going to have to go up. So let's change that. Let's set it equal to $6,000. And we're going to figure out what that monthly payment is. We're going to make that our X. This whole fraction doesn't change. The only thing that changes here is we're now solving for this X. So this whole thing here is really just a number. Let's figure out what that number is. And I'm going to be lazy here and just go and delete. Arrow, arrow, arrow. I could have probably had the whole thing typed already. Delete. That's what's sitting next to my X right now, is this 22.7938 blah, 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 blah. That's that fraction. So how do I solve for X? I need to divide that over. I'm going to divide that whole amount over to solve for X. So 6,000 divided by that number. So the algebra here was easy. You had to divide. But typing it in gets a little crazy and realizing that's all you had to do. So Fran would have to pay $263.23 a month. $263.23 is what Fran would have to pay for her boat each month if she wanted to borrow $6,000. Let's buy a car. Determine the monthly payment on a 5-year car loan with an annual interest rate of 1.5% for a car with a cost of $19,700 and a 10% down payment. So a down payment is an initial payment. You're not borrowing. Initial payment. You don't borrow this money from the bank. You pay for it up front. So what's 10% of that? 10% of 19,700 is 1,970. That's an upfront cost. So the question is how much am I borrowing? I need to borrow the difference. I need to subtract those two numbers there. That's what I'm actually borrowing. So the down payments kind of get in our way here. I'm borrowing $17,730. And banks make you put up money up front so that you have some ownership in it. And that way, if you stop paying them, you'll lose money too. So that's the loan amount. This is how much I need to borrow from the bank. Is $17,730. Determine the monthly payment. That's X. Of a 5-year car loan, 5 times 12 is 60 months. That's 60 payments, right? You pay every month for your car with an annual interest rate of 1.5% for a car with a cost of that. So 1 minus 1 plus 0.015 divided by 12 to the negative 60 to the negative n all over 0.015 divided by 12. Same game plan to solve for x. Type this in and then divide it over. So I'm going to type that all in and then divide it by 17,730. So let's type in that crazy fraction. 1 minus 1 plus 0.015. We'll try that again. 1 plus 0.015 divided by 12 to the negative 60 over just that little fraction piece. The formula has that little I, which doesn't stand for the imaginary unit. It's just that little fraction piece. 0.015 divided by 12. I really struggled here. So that's what's sitting next to x. That's not my answer. That's what's sitting next to x, so I need to divide that over now. That's how much money I'm borrowing divided by that answer from above. That's it. This number here is going to tell us how much money I have to pay each month for my car. I have to pay $306.90. Remember, money we round to two places. That's what I need to pay each month for my car. If you're buying this car, but I can't afford $306 a month. I can only afford $250 a month. What's the down payment required for this car? So they're telling me X this time. So let's plug that in. They're telling me X. I'm not changing anything in here like interest rates or stuff like that. I'm not doing any of that nonsense. To the negative 60 all over 0.015 divided by 12. How much money can I borrow from the bank? That's the question. How much money is the bank going to give me? So let me type that on in. Good thing I already have that fraction up here. Times 250. That's how much money, we'll ignore that. I'm apparently struggling with typing in the calculator tonight. This is how much money the bank will give me. The bank will give me $14,442. So what does this equal? I can borrow $14,442.61. That's how much the bank will give me. But my car cost $19,700. So the down payment is what do I need to pay up front to cover that difference. So if I subtract these two, that means I have a down payment of the difference of those two values there. I'm going to use my calculator in person and not the screen because I'm struggling apparently. And also struggling on here, I forgot a 4. I have to have a down payment of $5,257.39 to cover that difference. So I figured out how much I can get from the bank. How much can I borrow from the bank? But the car actually costs $19,700. So up front, I would need to pay that much money. All right, time to buy a house, and then we're done for the day. Then we're done for the day. So you're interested in buying a home for $220,000 with a 10% down payment. Normally, when you buy a home, it's actually a 20% down payment to avoid extra cost, but we'll just do a 10% down payment here for consistency. So a bank will offer you a 30-year mortgage. When you buy a house, you pay it off normally over 30 years. Or there's 15-year mortgages too, but those cost a little bit more each month. With a 3.6% annual interest rate, determine your monthly mortgage payment. All right. So how much am I borrowing from the bank for this house? It costs $220,000, but my down payment is 10% of that, so $22,000. I just chopped off a zero. That's how much money I pay up front. So the difference is I need to borrow $198,000 from the bank. I need to walk up to the bank and say, you know what, I want to buy this house. Can you give me $198,000? So $198,000 equals, what's my monthly payment? 1 minus 1 plus 3.6% compounded monthly. Well, 30 years is how many payments? If you buy a house and pay it off over 30 years, you're making 360 payments of that to pay for that house. So we're going to solve this just like we solved the other ones. Type this in and divide it over. So I'm going to type in that fraction. I switched to my in-person calculator because I was struggling way too much. So I'm typing that big fraction into my calculator, and I got like 219.95. And now I'm going to divide that over to solve for x. I'm going to divide that by that crazy fraction. So 198,000 divided by my answer tells me I need to pay $900.20 a month. So $900.20 a month to buy that house. Now, I hate to break it to you folks, that doesn't include property taxes, and that's stuff we're going to look at next week. We're going to do a buying a house project. That's just for paying for the house. Here's something I want to look at. Let's get the next question. If you pay that 360 times, how much money are you actually giving the bank? You're actually giving the bank $324,000. That's what you're paying over 30 years. But you're saying right now, Coach, the house only costs $220,000. Right. The banks are charging you interest for borrowing their money. The bank is making money off of you because you borrowed $200,000 from them. They get to make that money back over 30 years. So actually, the bank has made a lot of money off of you in interest. The bank has made $126,000 in interest paid on this house. That's a lot of money that we paid in interest for this house here. So, welcome to real life, folks. This is how life works. We're going to look at this next week, where I'm going to have you guys buy a house. But right now, I've got that problem set for you guys to do. We'll skip number 4, and I've got some homework problems for you to try here.